Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Collett-Bevan, a Senior Associate in the Financial Services team at Minter Ellison Bradwatts. I'm really pleased to welcome you to Pitch Perfect this morning, where we will get to hear from some of the latest innovators in the tech world. For my part, I am going to keep this introduction quite short and sweet, as we have 6 fantastic speakers gracing us with their insights and business opportunities this morning, and we only have really just under an hour to do it. So the FinTech sector is one of the largest growing industries. Despite that, there's plenty to do to catch up with the rest of the world, and embracing both local and international FinTech innovation to help the sector further is essential to this cause. We are a marketplace that is ripe for investment, improvement and disruption, and it is super important that we leverage new opportunities and progress at pace this sector, which is integral across New Zealand industries. So for this reason, Minter Ellison Bradwatts is also really pleased to be sponsoring Tech Alley again this year. FinTech is an area that we are really passionate about. Jeremy Muir, one of the judges at the end table, is partner in the financial services team at Minter Ellison. He's helped spearhead much of the regulatory understanding in this area and is widely recognised as New Zealand's leading lawyer for cryptocurrencies, digital tokens and coins, non-fungible tokens and other blockchain projects. So it is an area that we are really passionate about as a team. So there doesn't seem to be an industry that cannot now incorporate the word tech at its end. InsurTech, HealthTech, EduTech and RegTech, among others, are all thriving industries with incredible scope for further development and opportunity. So with that in mind, I'm really looking forward to the next 30 to 40 minutes where our presenters have been tasked to discuss their business opportunity, sharing insights as to how their business will positively shape the future of New Zealand. So in terms of how this will work, well, each speaker will have an opportunity to speak. We're giving them largely 3 to 4 minutes to speak. We'll probably give each speaker an indicator if they tip over the 3-minute mark so they know when to end. You will then have an opportunity to vote for your winning pitch at the end. So we've developed a very practical voting method. So on the table over there, you'll be asked to place 2 of the, I'm not sure what you call them, but they're kind of miniature stress balls into 2 jars to choose your 2 favourite pitches. The judging panel will then compile the results, sitting at the end table, and then they'll have a short period to deliberate before announcing 2 winners. And the winners will then be invited to pitch their innovation on the main plenary stage later on today, and I believe that's at 12:40. So I'm pleased to welcome our 3 panel judges. So Troy Churton, at the very end, heads up membership and partnerships in the Financial Services Council, following over 5 years as National Manager, fulfilling the Retirement Commission's functions in the retirement village space. Janet Chinnery is a co-founder of RegTech NZ and Senior RegTech Consultant at Shift Compliance. Janet has over 25 years experience leading technology and regulatory change for the financial sector in the UK, Singapore and New Zealand. And Jeremy Muir, as I mentioned, is a partner in the financial services team at Minter Ellison. And as I mentioned, he has a wealth of experience in the FinTech space, from helping to develop the first NZD stablecoin to being appointed as one of the 2 special advisors to the Finance and Expenditure Select Committee inquiry on cryptocurrencies. So Jeremy, could I know you're at the back of the room, but could I briefly ask you to outline what the judges will be looking for today?
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. I'm sure you can all hear me. So we have a very complicated score sheet just to keep everything above board and legitimate. So each of the pitches will be scored out of 5 on 5 factors: relevance to the industry, votes from the floor, content of the presentation, X factor, presentation quality, and our perception of the entity's ability to deliver on its promise. So feel free to talk to those attributes, and that will serve you well. But we look forward to just hearing some good pitches and remaining excited about the quality of fintechs coming through in New Zealand.
Great. Great, thank you. So let's get started. So we have 6 wonderful speakers, as I mentioned. In the interest of time, I will introduce each speaker very briefly as they come up to present. If you would like to ask questions, I believe there are details at the bottom of the slide there. We may or may not have time to address the questions, but we'll try our best. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Dermot Butterfield, to the stage. So Dermot is the CEO and founder of Which, an app-enabled AI-powered personal financial assistant. He has a wealth of experience in the technology space and has been in the startup space for 12 years now. So Dermot.
And I hate public speaking. Tēnā koutou. I'm Dermot Butterfield, CEO of Which. Myself and a lean team of 3 have been working in the Australian and New Zealand FinTech industry from our base in Titirangi. We built an AI-powered app which will help grow the financial confidence of all New Zealanders. I'll start by telling you a little bit about myself. I've been in the software industry for the best part of 20 years. I started with working for banks, government and large enterprises, delivering apps and services, securely connecting and helping their services simplify. I've taken that knowledge and I, when preparing for some parental leave, built an app to help manage our personal finances. It made a difference to our lives, and that's when I realised it would work for others. Earlier this year, we became the 17th accredited data recipient in the Australian open data ecosystem, and we now have 2 products credited in there. So what is Which Money? Well, it's an app that works with open banking and open data to provide customers with financial insights. Very simple. We're not a budgeting app, we're a financial improvement tool, and we use that to make more possible with your money. So money can be stressful, consumers are time poor, interest rates and prices are rising, salaries not so much, and we use that to help inform people where they are and what's happening in their financial lives. So how does it work? Well, you can't tell somebody not to drink the coffee they've already bought. So we look at what are the unavoidable expenses in life. We go back through their financial history and we identify the recurring things. WAF, Rego, birthdays, the types of expenses that you need to put money aside for. And by putting those in front of people, we can plan in advance. Secondly, we go through their monthly and weekly expenses to identify the recurring themes within those spaces and use those to help people make a better understanding where their money goes. Those are the pieces where we can help them identify and compare products like insurance or telco services and the like. And by bringing that all together in a single place, they can see what's happening right the way across their life. And so for us, the idea is everybody should be able to make an informed financial decision, and those decisions can be as simple as whether you buy a coffee today or not. Right? We can do this all by safely connecting using open banking, or in modern terms, a CDO regime, which is a customer data recipient. That's where your data is now yours. It's no longer owned by the entity that once collected it. And so what we've built is essentially a comparison tool built just for you. So we'll be launching in Australia first, followed by New Zealand later this year. Our goal is to allow everyone to make that informed decision, as I said. And in fact, we've had some demand in Australia for white label versions. So we've built one for banks, mortgage brokers, financial advisors and superannuation funds to enable their customers to understand how their products work. That's going down quite well. And finally, we do have a footprint already here in New Zealand. Earlier this year, we launched our Which Donate platform. Which Donate is a donor-optimized platform. It enables charities, our first charity partner being the Salvation Army, to acquire donors and their funds and allow those funds to be attributed back to the regions in which those funds were actually donated in. This is all around donor optimization, and how that works is by connecting back into the Which Money app. The donor can see and manage their donations, so they can understand at the time and at a later time how those donations impact their finances, and connect it hopefully to the IRD if they let us turn that piece on, and we'll be able to do right the way through from collecting to reporting. And so that's available right now. It's live in New Zealand. I suppose I should have probably clicked some buttons here to see some slides. That's our app. It's there. I hope you'll be all able to see it soon enough. This is us. I invite you to join us on our journey.
So thank you, Dermot. So our next speaker is Ashley Lake-Johns, co-founder and co-CEO of QuickPay. Ashley has extensive experience in the payments sector, and QuickPay establishes a firm foot in the open banking space. Ashley.
Thank you for the introduction. Just get these slides working. Okay, so my name is Ashley Lake-Johns. I am a co-founder and co-CEO of a company called QuickPay. QuickPay is a New Zealand fintech startup that powers one-off and recurring transactions through the use of open banking technology. Apologies. Our vision is to give businesses and individuals alike the ability to better manage their finances and sustain themselves in uncertain economic environments. Oh, apologies, I'll get there. So, what is the problem? Businesses both domestically and globally are charged roughly between 1.5 and 3.5% on transaction fees. They also have to wait between 2 to 5 days for that money to be deposited in their account. So as you can imagine, if you're an organization, whatever size you are, that is an expensive and cumbersome process. So, you're probably wondering why that is. This is largely due to the fact there are multiple parties involved in a transaction, from merchant acquirers to card schemes to point of sales providers, banks, and of course payment facilitators. So, what is the solution? QuickPay and open banking. With APIs provided by banks and Akahu, we can circumvent those third parties and get the money directly deposited into the merchant's account. So, for a small organization, that means they have the money to pay their staff on time, pay their bills, and pay themselves. For an organization that's grossing tens of millions of dollars money each year, that means we can save them hundreds of thousands of dollars in transaction fees. So, also, the other point is the fact we connect directly with a customer's account, we can identify them. That can reduce payment fraud significantly. And I'll talk a little bit about a solution. So, with this technology, we have created omni-channel payment solutions, including invoice integrations, contactless QR code payments, and our recurring payments product, which is ideal for gym memberships, charity donations, and subscription services. It's quite simple for a user to use. They either send a link, a QR code, which they can then scan. The form is generated on their phone with the payment terms, the amount, and the schedule, and all they need to do is agree and connect their account. Once that's done, they're sent payment notifications so that they can withdraw funds and move money across at the right time in order to make the payment. We've also created automated payment schedules for the merchant so they can make sure that they give the user the ability to better manage their finances. This can reduce payment failures by 70%. So in conclusion, essentially, with high inflation, high unemployment, and a possible recession, it's now important more than ever for businesses to have the tools to save their bottom line and protect themselves. It's also important that we give individuals the ability to better manage their finances in order to pay their bills so they don't end up in debt or overdraft. Thank you.
So thank you, Ashley. So our next speaker is Ravi Kupan, CEO of Larkin. Ravi is an experienced software expert with experience in C-level stakeholder management and has developed this fantastic business optimization platform. Ravi.
Great, thanks everyone. And as Maria said, my name's Ravi, and I'm the co-founder of Larkin. I'll try and get these slides to work. Right, so what do we do? We're a B2B SaaS IT finance cost transparency tool. Our tool provides the ability for organizations to decode and understand IT finance data. So IT can actually show back the cost of services, who consumes that service, and finance has a level of transparency when it comes to IT spend and where that's actually going. Simply put, we connect the dots between IT and finance. So let's understand, how does Larkin actually work, and think about how IT's changed at home. For me, 5 years ago, I had a hard drive system, and that cost me $600. I backed up all my computers at home, and it was brilliant. And then we all moved to the cloud. I've got 3 storage devices, iCloud, OneDrive, and Dropbox. And now, as it costs me $600 every year, and it's an annual recurring fee. For New Zealand businesses, and global businesses, and government, this is a much larger scale problem. And when we come to digital transformation, this is constantly occurring. So what we've done is taken global world best practice and applied this, and it's called TBM, Technology Business Management. It's used by the largest financial institutions in the world, like JP Morgan and Bank of America, to optimize their IT spend. We've taken this framework, codified it, and made it accessible for the scale for New Zealand. So government and private business can start to visualize where their spend actually occurs. So is this really a problem for New Zealand? Well, we're actually spending quite a bit of money, 41 million every day. That's 15 billion each year. So we're spending more and more on IT and digital. And for the financial services industry, well, your biggest cost drivers are labour and IT, which wasn't the case 10 years ago. So let's take an example now of a mid-sized insurance company that has 1,000 employees, 500,000 customers, supporting hundreds of IT systems. Licensing, like SAP, for instance, and Oracle, is just one cost. It's now connected to things like security, databases, data centers. It's all become very complex. At Larkin, we provide the transparency to connect those dots where IT spend is occurring. And how do we do all this? Well, this is where the magic happens. We ingest data from all these different sources on the left, from support tickets to service catalogues to budgets and contracts. And within that heartbeat of Larkin, we model all this data and report on it and provide visualization of dashboards around value and spend. So some of the key things for you is we can't grow or plan and optimize if we don't know where complexity is. We want businesses to make decisions fast. Come and join us. We want to be part of your Kiwi success story. Be accountable and make business IT financially literate. Thank you.
So thank you, Ravi. I'd like to welcome Tim Larkin to the stage. So Tim is partner and chief commercial officer at Decreed. Tim has plenty plus years in growing businesses and is really passionate about making doing business easier and more efficient. So Decreed is one such example of this. Tim.
So compliance is eating the world. We see this globally at the moment across all of the industries. The burden of compliance is increasing for everyone, and no more so than in financial services here in New Zealand. Decreed has developed Teams Plus to specifically help businesses deal with that compliance burden in the area of professional competencies and the reportings to the regulator. Now, from the regulator's perspective, it's no longer about minimum standards. It's about improving the professional development for advisors, about improving their skill sets, and ultimately about delivering better customer outcomes. And the businesses that do that well will be more successful and more profitable. And the reason for that is because they're going to have the right behaviours embedded within their organisation and within the advisor networks that they deal with. Now, the flow-on effect from that is that the cost of compliance as a percentage of revenue will start to drop for those businesses as well. So the question for businesses out there is, how do you deliver a solution or a methodology to do this in an area where the burden of compliance is increasing and labour costs are as well. And there's only going to be one answer for that, and that's through technology. So Teams Plus is being designed in partnership with a number of people within the financial services industry to do just this. It is both a learning experience platform, delivering training, and a compliance platform. And it does this by putting the advisors at the very centre of everything that it does. So the advisors aren't responsible for compliance. That is always going to sit with the licensed entity. But it does put the onus or the ownership of individual performance and competencies with the advisor. And for businesses in the financial, and for businesses within the financial services centre, that means you can provide the training to and get the attestations from and reporting that you need for your compliance reporting. And it's the ecosystem approach here that really sets us apart, and it's the strength of Teams Plus. So again, the advisor can look at the training that they are doing, and they can share data not only within their own business, but with all of the parties in the financial services ecosystem that they deal with. And for providers and other people within the industry, I don't know why that's going through, but it provides them with the opportunity to provide training into advisors within their businesses and right throughout the whole financial services industry as well. This becomes the most cost-effective way to deliver financial services compliance in New Zealand. Teams Plus also has all of the additional features that you would expect, except the price. We're a New Zealand business, we've got New Zealand-based developers, and we're really focused on continuing to expand the platform to address all of the compliance needs that you have. I'm up in Tech Alley. I'd love to talk to you more about how we can address some of the compliance issues that you have. And I'd like you to leave this morning's session with one question on your mind, and that is, how much time and how much money could a platform like Decreed save your business? Thank you.
So thank you, Tim. So next we have Dev Soni, a co-founder of Sugar Wallet, this exciting new investment product launched recently, supporting the financial capability of ordinary New Zealanders. And I know Dev is excited to share what it does. So Dev.
Hey everybody, let me just test this thing out, which way it goes, cool. My name is Dev, I'm one of the co-founders of Sugar Wallet. We're an investment platform that makes investing ridiculously simple for the everyday Kiwi. 70% of Kiwis don't invest, and there's a reason why, and it's not that they don't have enough money. It's funny, I got told growing up, just work hard and save and you'll be fine. And during 2020, I had a whole bunch of friends, graduated all from uni, all sorts of jobs, teachers, engineers, commerce students, go to the house auction and typically get beaten out by smarter people, investors who clearly had not just saved money and worked hard, but actually had made their money work hard as well. And that's when I realized that perhaps that this rule doesn't apply so much anymore as it did when parents had 7 and 8% interest in the savings account. And I started noticing the sentiment more and more and more, not just in New Zealand, but globally. This idea that, you could be working 10-hour shifts and still not be making enough. And that it's interesting. There's a YouTube comment right at the bottom saying that crazy is to think only a few decades ago, a single working parent in a factory could support a whole family and even buy a nice house and a vehicle. I wondered why that was. And I started looking at the home value change versus the income change over the last 50 years. And even though New Zealand's right at the bottom, it was still in the top 25 countries of where inflation's sitting at now. And BlackRock, for those of you who know, released a statement with some interesting facts where over around 80% of people believe that they're not on the right savings track. So what's the problem? I'd just like to get a hands up. How many of you know what an index fund or ETF is here in this room? Yeah, thought so. Most wealth platforms make it complicated, unfamiliar, and time-consuming. And I think the word complicated is where a lot of the juice is here. Most of you know what an ETF or a fund or a managed fund is, whereas 80% of our users are first-time investors who don't know what that is. So how do we actually solve this issue? There are platforms out there that supposedly say that they make investing easy. There's a bright pink one that especially says that. But investing made easy is not just making brokerage easy. Investing made easy is being able to know, or not have to think about what a PE ratio is if you don't know what that is and you'd rather be at brunch. So our UX and branding makes adoption much easier for non-investors. We use Akahu to connect to your bank and automate the entire process so that it's completely set and forget. Like retirement savings schemes, we take the idea of taking away money every payday and putting it away. You choose an investment. Right now they're provided by Simplicity, but we're connecting to other fund managers and hopefully potentially even banks with their funds. And then you auto-invest every payday and that's it. So we launched 4 months ago. We spent $0 on marketing. We have a blended cost of acquisition that's very cheap compared to most people here. We've had over 5,000 downloads. We've multiplied the amount invested on our platform by 20 times. We have over 91% retention over 90 days. So that's me. I actually had a custom-made suit company before this that we grew to the most custom-made suits in 3 years. And I also grew my parents' flower business to a bit in 6 months. My co-founder is ex-software engineer at Xero and at Pocketful. And yeah, some of our investors include the ex-president of Robinhood UK, the international growth lead of Canva. If you guys know public.com, the international person there, and Mahesh, who's one of the earliest employees at Canva. Ultimately, why are we doing this? Well, we look to serve the 99% of this world, not the top 1%, and we want to create a financially equitable world, not just for the top 1%, but for the 99%. And that's us. Thanks.
So thank you, Dave. So last but certainly not least, I'd like to welcome our final pitcher, Richard Manthel, founder and director at AML Solutions and AML Hub, an AML CFT cloud-focused platform which assists entities to manage their AML CFT obligations. Richard.
Thank you very much. I'm going to avoid touching that the clicker because it's all the IT guys in the room. They're all tech experts have struggled, so so do something. So if anybody's got any problems with the clickers, you can get away with it by not being an IT person. My name's Richard Manthel, and I run a company called the AML Hub. And the AML Hub is an anti-money laundering piece of software. So basically, in saying that, what we're basically doing is we have created a platform that sits in the cloud and allows your directors and your compliance officers a great sense of comfort that things have been managed correctly. So the story goes way back to 2013, and all the people in this room in your companies were captured under the AML CFT legislation. It came in, and New Zealand really responded to a global requirement that all these companies and countries in the world had to meet their obligations. $4 trillion in the world is generated through predicate crime, nasty stuff, child, slavery, pornography, the list goes on. And the money has to be washed around the world through asset classes to try and generate an air of legitimacy. So it's a real problem. And New Zealand's response, of course, like most countries, is their AML CFT legislation, which means that we've got all these obligations now on 8,000 companies here in New Zealand. So the problem we've got is that the legislation is risk-based, it's complex, there's guidance, there's regulation, there's legislation, and people get very confused. And our journey started in 2013 when we started to actually help companies become compliant. And then we started to audit companies. And we found that the common theme was that no one knew what they were doing. They were time poor, they were confused, and they really were struggling with what they needed to do. Then some people started getting into trouble with the supervisors. Your supervisor being the FMA. So they started to get in trouble with the FMA. We saw public warnings start to crop up. We saw fines, and the Reserve Bank raced around and started to fine multi-billion-dollar fines to their reporting entities, a lot of the banks. So what happened was, we set up a platform, and the platform said, we're going to take all that pain off you, we're going to educate you exactly what you need to do, and we're going to start to record all that information. And the best way to describe the platform, it's a bit like Xero. So I'm not an accountant, but I use Xero, and I think I am an accountant, which is kind of dangerous. But the fact is that we provide a really nice platform for the compliance officer. And what that means is that, you've all been exposed to doing onboarding your clients. We talk about CDD. That's only a very, very small aspect of it. Because after all, the whole legislation is around identifying suspicious activity or discouraging people using your firms to wash money through your companies. So if we don't spot suspicious activities and we don't actually report that to the police, then the entire regime is globally a complete waste of time. So we've got to have a really nice platform. And that when the supervisors turn up or the auditors turn up to look at what you're doing, they want to see that you've recorded information. They want to see that you've actually got all your CDD information recorded correctly. They want to see you've recorded your suspicious activities, that you've all been trained. And so all that has to be written down. In the world of compliance, if it's not written down, it did not happen. So therefore it's kind of brutal. So the platform we've created is one that says everything's included in the world of AML. We launched it and we basically have got an app which allows people to interact directly with their customers. We've got the desktop version, which of course is controlled by the compliance officer. Reports can be generated for the board and for the directors to keep them comfortable, sleep at night. But when we launched it, we're quite excited. We generated very quickly, over several months, about 10,000 users, which was quite exciting. We hit the number 2 on the App Store, Apple App Store, for that month, which was also kind of exciting. And now we've been involved in, just through the people who've onboarded to the platform, which now runs to about close to a million people who have been verified through the platform and added to the clients, obviously, their CDD and their platform. And that sort of equates to deals valued to about $300 billion over the last few years. So we really have seen that really successful grow, and we're quite pleased with that. So for your industry and for your compliance officers, we want to make sure they sleep at night. We cover off all their AML obligations, and we're really, really happy that we've created this, and we've got great relationships with our clients, and we know that our compliance officers and our directors who use our platform can sleep at night, because AML is a very, very complicated business that's not going to go away. So thank you for your time. We are in Tech Alley. Of course, we're a small, struggling firm, so we've got a little small booth. But please come and see us, and happy to talk through more about what we're doing. Thanks very much. Cool.
So thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who the judges select. So audience, I'd really like you to vote for your 2 favourite pictures. I would encourage you to go up to the table in the far right over there and start voting. So as I mentioned before, put 2 stress balls, 1 in 2 of your favourite pictures jars, and judges, as the audience completes their voting, you'll have a short period to deliberate. You'll probably have about 5 to 10 minutes. So everyone else, just please relax, chat amongst yourselves, and then at the end of that, I'll ask Jeremy Muir to come up and tell us what the judges thought of the pictures and to present the 2 winners. And for the audience, please otherwise, as I mentioned, just relax in the interim, but please do go up and vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. On behalf of our distinguished judging panel and me, I would like to announce the results of our deliberations, which I'm pleased to say are also the results of your deliberations and entirely consistent with the voting from the floor. So it's good that we're not putting a controversial no balls candidate out there to win. That's an unfortunate turn of phrase. Right. I would like to say thank you to all of the pitchers. The one thing that actually interested us as judges was when we got to the end and looked at our column of relevance to the industry, it was pretty much a clear streak with everyone scoring highly and pretty much the same across. All 6 candidates were different, but yet we're all looking at solving a recognised issue in the market that everyone is aware that's there and looking for new ways to deal with. So well done on that. I think there is a great future for all 6 companies. So I won't go through individual markings, but I will shoot straight to the point, which is to name the highest scoring 2 entries. And consistently with the highest scoring 2 voting as well, they were Larkin and Sugar Wallet. So congratulations. You will both have the opportunity to present on the top table. And I will say that everyone else scored well and freely and could equally have been there on another day. There was a game of 2 halves, but FinTech was the winner on the day. Thank you.
So, thank you everyone. So that concludes the session. So congratulations to the winner and to all the speakers. Please remember that the winners will be presenting later today on the main plenary stage at 12:40 p.m. ahead of lunch. So for now, the conference begins in the main plenary, followed by morning tea in the expo areas, I believe. So please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.